An old Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. "A fight is going on inside me," he said to the boy. "It's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego," he continued. "The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person too." The grandson thought for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The old Cherokee simply replied, "The one you feed." Hi, I'm Jessica Disbrow, licensed social worker and registered psychotherapist, owner and primary therapist of Higher Consciousness Healing, and I'm really glad that you're joining us today for our second live episode. We're going to talk about why being present is the most important thing and how it relates to our mental health and evolution. So, I started today off with a story. I said that I'm an English major and that's going to come into play during these episodes. And I just think that's a really important one because it demonstrates this battle that has been going on for humans for a very long time. And really, it is a battle of ego. It is the battle of lower consciousness versus higher consciousness. And that story just describes it really beautifully. And oral storytelling is how we've passed on this important information because we didn't have that, information and facts we do about the brain now. So we couldn't just say, oh yeah, it's your brain. Like we didn't even know what that was, but we did understand fundamentally for a very long time that these concepts were part of our evolution and part of our spiritual journey. So I just think that that's really key to understand because the historical aspects is really important because we're fighting this journey and let's finally win. So a few things I wanted to touch base about, some housekeeping. So last week people had some problems with the question and answer, so I guess Facebook Live isn't like that live. There's a little bit of a delay here and there, so I'm going to ask that people comment and give questions during the show, and I'm just going to be kind of mindfully paying attention to that, and I'll try and answer any relevant questions as the show goes on and then after the show. So definitely comment. I want it to be really interactive. That's why I'm doing Facebook Live, so I really do want your feedback. A few things that came up is, one thing I want to make clear to everybody, again, this isn't like a therapeutic advice show. I'm just spreading information around mental health and, spirituality and a little bit of science stuff. It's really for you to have more information so you can critically think about what decisions are right for you and your life. Because basically that's what I want to empower everyone to do and get out of the show is that you really have control over you, and that's it. And so by embracing that and, thinking critically about this information, I think would be really helpful in making those decisions. So one of the things that came up last week is I mentioned paleo diet, and this is a really great example of this. I had some vegans and vegetarians in the audience, and one of them said, well, hey, you're saying paleo, but I don't feel ethical about eating meat. That's totally fine. I definitely want you to feel encouraged to make your own decisions and, the things that are right for you and respect the things that are right for other people and their decisions. So, on to the actual meat of the show. So, why is being present important? First, I want to define what being present is. Being present is having a quiet mind and kind of being at peace with yourself and the things around you. Because it's kind of like, well, there's a lot of bad things going on in my present moment. There might be, you might have, something traumatic going on, that kind of stuff. How can I be at peace with something that's that bad? I don't like this reality. Well, it's about fully accepting it Wow, Facebook Live is not that good. Gonna give us a minute to have our viewers catch back in. Gonna have to switch over to YouTube Live or something, jeez. All right, I'm just gonna give everybody a minute. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna continue. So the present moment is everything there is. It literally is. So if you're in your mind thinking about something else, you're not really living now, So it's really important. And a lot of like not so nice mental health stuff happens when we're not present. And really, I think trauma happens when we're not present, which I'll get into in another episode. So our brain is really wired for fear and negativity. As I explained last episode, that's really coming from a very survival, very evolutionary, place, because we needed to survive. And now we're done surviving, we've gotten everything that we need, and we can finally like move forward mentally, like in our brain towards something greater. So what is it like to not be present? It looks a lot like anxiety. It looks a lot like depression. It looks a lot like lights on, but nobody is home. Those people that you're talking to, and you're just like, I don't know if this person is registering anything I'm saying, So the more present we are, the more alive we feel, the more we're able to overcome our fears and anxieties, and the more we're able to connect with our inner self and with God. So that's really key. And the universe and the people around us in this beautiful place with all of its gifts, we'll really be able to access that. But how? Because that's a tall order for people. Like if you had told me like 5 or 6 years ago, like you need to turn off that chatter in your brain, I would have been like, I don't think there's an off button, man. Like that's just going away, lots of negative thoughts. And, negativity, we're really wired for it because it helps us survive. What's wrong with the situation? What makes us uncomfortable with the situation? Because that, again, survival. But we don't need that. So I'm going around, and now I want to talk about how we build awareness, because that's really key. So mindfulness is something I'm going to be talking a lot about over the next few episodes, because I think there's a lot of good tools out there, and I want to share them because, again, being present is the most important thing, and we can do that through being mindful. So for some of you out there who have already started doing some of this work, and you're starting to pay attention to that ego voice, that chatter, that anxiety that's saying like, oh, well, what about this? What if this happens? And realizing that it's really not serving you, and it's really just giving you a false sense of control, which, people want to be in control because it feels safe. And unfortunately, like, we have to accept that things don't feel safe, that we feel scared. It's just kind of like what we need to do to move forward, because that's always going to be there in the back of our head, literally, that fear. So it's about moving forward and moving past that and not letting that control you and make decisions in your life. So, it's not, it's a process, be patient with yourself. All right, a few things before I close out for today. I haven't seen any questions come up, so hopefully I'm explaining everything clearly and everyone can understand me. So I want to just start with the breath, and I want to leave you with this, because the breath is your greatest teacher. And it can help you so much in so many different situations. So if you're having trouble building awareness and you've tried meditating and it's just not working for you, I really would encourage you to, as much as you can, get in touch with your breath. Any time of the day, anytime in the now, and start building that awareness and pulling yourself into the present moment, pulling yourself into the now, and just observe. Because you might find that your brain, your ego mind, is telling you a lot of really not nice things and a lot of, very critical things. So it's about acknowledging that and accepting it. it's there, it's part of the brain, it's sending out those fires, and, because basically what fires together wires together. And when we've been programmed, through our evolution and our brain and our bad experiences on top of this, it's a lot. So, all right. So focus on the breath. I'm going to be talking next week about how we can use our other senses and our focus on the body to increase our mindfulness. So I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode, and I still don't see any questions, so I'm just going to wrap up. Second episode, doing good, and stay tuned. It's going to get better. All right, thanks.